Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial. Here on the KE Report, we're going to be diving into the resource sector, talking precious metals, even copper, maybe even some energy comments, and some of the companies that our guest Byron King likes. Byron is a geologist who writes for the Paradigm Group, formerly Agora Financial. He writes alongside Jim Rickards. So, Byron, it was about a month ago now that you were at PDAC, the big resource conference in Toronto. It timed right when gold started to move higher and break out up to that 2100 level. Give us a bit of, rundown of what you saw at PDAC when you were there, please.
Okay, thank you. It's great to be with you. PDAC begins, formally on a Sunday. It starts, like on a Sunday around noon or something. So I went there on the first day, on Sunday afternoon, and the place was, to my experience, the place was like a funeral parlor. I mean, it was very, very under attended. There were a lot of empty booths. Either nobody was manning the booth, or there was just nobody there. There's no booth. I mean, somebody had just walked away from their deposit, saying, it's too expensive. I'm not going to go there this year. And so Sunday afternoon, I was walking around, walking and talking and seeing people and what have you. But it was not a busy place, and there was not a really, upbeat atmosphere about it at all. And I got back to the hotel on Sunday night, and I was thinking, oh, man, this is going to be a heck of a week. Well, Monday morning, the sun comes up, and along with the sun coming up, so did the price of gold rise over $2,100. So when the exhibit hall kicked off, opened up by about 10 in the morning, all of a sudden there's a buzz. People are saying, hey, do you know, gold's up over 21. Wow, hey, silver's up over 24. Hey, wow, So a lot of people were smiling, and that buzz continued really for the rest of the show for the next couple of days. So in the sense that it was sort of like the funeral parlor, and the next morning was like the resurrection. The price of gold at 21 and moving up and holding, made a lot of people seemingly feel good. The investment angle on this is that it's been a tough number of months, been a tough long time really for a lot of the small cap juniors. It's, share prices are down. It's very tough to raise money. Some companies have money and they have aggressive, exploration programs that they're planning for the spring and the summer, because this is when you have to plan it. You have to, lease the rigs and get the helicopters and, plan your food and your personnel and everything else. You're doing all that right now, or if you haven't done it, you're late, But then there are other people that don't have money, and they're like, well, we're just going to have to, to have a really, really abbreviated season, and we'll do what we can, but we just don't have the money. We're not going to spend what we don't have, and we're not going to raise it at these, these very, very low share prices. So yeah, there's a certain ebullience in the sector, but you have to look at each company in terms of, how much money do they have and what can they really do in the months to come.
Yeah, Byron, it's a tough environment for the small cap companies, especially the ones that have not been able to raise money yet. Let's just focus on some of the companies that you saw there that have the money. And it seems like there's companies that have big projects that are able to still do equity raises, pretty big equity raises, actually. And there's other companies that were able to bring in strategic partners to bring in some money. Some other companies sold non-core projects to bring in some money. But from the pool of companies that actually are juniors with cash, what programs really caught your attention? What kind of companies or what kind of themes were you hearing that really caught your attention at the PDAC?
Well, okay, great question. I'll focus on three companies that I think really have a good run in front of them. One of them is out in Montana. It's called Stillwater Critical Minerals. They have a very, very large, huge land package right next to, adjacent to Sibanye-Stillwater. So, there's Sibanye-Stillwater, which is the big, large cap company, but then there's Stillwater Critical Metals, and they own a big land package all around it. It's a beautifully assembled land package. They have been able to raise money. One of their strategic funders is this company you may have heard of. It's called Glencore, and so they're putting money into it. They have done a beautiful drill program. They have more to come. They've got it. We're talking nickel. We're talking platinum group metals. We're talking copper and various other things. There's gold. There's silver. There's cobalt. There's a bunch of metals out there. Now this is fairly early stage exploration. They know a lot. There's so much more to learn though. But they're really good at what they do. I have visited the site a couple of times. always been impressed at the core shack, at what comes out of the ground. I remember one time I jumped off the helicopter up in the hills there, ran down through the trees to where they were drilling, and they were pulling the core out of the ground, and there was literally high grade nickel ore coming out of the core barrel. I mean, you can't fake that. I mean, the stuff is there. It's real. So they got long intervals of really nice grade, high grade, nickel, platinum group metals, where they're drilling. And then there's other places where there are other things. There's some cobalt, I said cobalt. There's chromium in there too. It's a chrome resource. It's really just amazing. So I really was impressed with what I saw from Stillwater. That's number one. Number two that I spent a lot of time with, was a company called Metallic Minerals. Metallic. They have, they work in two areas. One's the Yukon and one's Colorado, Southwest Colorado. They have a beautiful project in Southwest Colorado called La Plata, which is a truly astonishing copper resource. I mean, they last year, not this just past, but like a year and a half ago, they finished the season drilling. Oh my God, I'm trying to think. It was 600-meter hole with commercial grade copper in it, and it ended in a really bizarre geological target that was full of platinum group metals. And it's like, how'd that happen? Well, this last summer they drilled some more holes. They found more of what they're looking for. They are still processing a lot of what they pulled out, but that copper play in Southwest Colorado for Metallic is great. And then up in the Yukon, they control a large mineral package right next to what used to be Alexco, the silver play, which is now Hecla. Hecla took over Alexco, got them for a song. But basically, if Hecla wants to expand, if they want to grow the resource underlying what they're doing up there, a natural fit would be, Metallic and its properties there. So we've got Stillwater Metals, we've got Metallic, and the third one, and this is more speculative, but it's a really fun speculation. Some speculations make me nervous. Some speculations make me happy. This one makes me happy, and it's called Granite Creek Copper. Granite Creek, and they have a play in the Yukon, a very, very large copper play. The big land package, lots of grade, lots of tonnage, really good drilling in the past. But what's really intriguing about this is that they are making a play right now to buy out the assets of what used to be called the Minto Copper, the Minto project. There's a mine and there's a mill that went into bankruptcy, and it's being bankruptcy sale going on. One of the great things about this bankruptcy is that it eliminates a very significant royalty that was being paid to Wheaton. So without the royalty, when you can buy the assets, the copper mill and that whole project, you can buy that for the right price. This thing instantly becomes a major copper play. As far as the Granite Creek folks go, they have really good relations with the First Nations. They've got support from the Yukon government. It's in the litigation side right now, so there's that litigation or that courthouse risk, you might say. But so there's three names that I saw up there in PDAC in Toronto that I came away very impressed with what they're doing.
Thanks for sharing those, Byron. Those are all under that Metallic group of companies, a group that Greg Johnson formed a while ago to focus on different metals, too. The companies, as you just mentioned, a wide range of metals there. What is your outlook for metals? Because broadly, we have seen gold pop higher. Silver made a move higher, but has faded back into its trading range. Copper back above $4. Are you leaning more favorably to one certain metal or commodity right now?
Well, I do think that for all sorts of global big macro pictures, I think gold is going to do well. I mean, at $2,100, and it's well over that right now as we speak today. I think it's around $2,175. It's popped up over $2,200. I think in terms of world events, just big events, what's going on in the world, Asia, Ukraine and Russia, the attack in Russia the other day, all those things. For all those, and then just U.S. government spending blowout. I mean, I think that gold is a very good place to be, and I think that silver is the companion to it. There's a monetary angle and an industrial angle to silver. I mean, the solar panel world alone is a major driver for support for silver prices going forward. And then as gold moves up, there's got to be that slingshot effect on silver right behind it. So the monetary metals I feel very strong about. Copper as well. I mean, yeah, the world has all sorts of problems, and anything could happen. There could be a war. There could be more wars. We already have wars, but there could be more of them. But people are still going to be building things, and they need copper. I mean, all the electrification that's going on, whether it's air conditioners and refrigerators in the developing world, or whether it's high-end electric vehicles in the developed world. And when you look at what China's doing in terms of wanting to be the go-to country for EVs in the future, I mean, copper is a thing, and copper is going to be around. And you've got problems with supply, everything from like what you saw in Panama a couple of months ago, where the government literally just shut down First Quantum. That's 1% of the world's copper output just got nationalized and taken away and turned problematic on us. You go to the rest of the world, and you look at almost every country that's a major copper producer. They have political problems, they have issues, and so I do think that copper is going to hold its own. We're going to keep going with copper. So when you say what do I like? Well, gold, silver, I like. Copper, I like. Nickel, I think, has bottomed. It seems to be coming back up again. Lithium had its sort of really big bubbly aspect to it, but I think going forward, lithium has there's a solid future for good lithium projects. And then I'll throw one more in. Uranium did really well, then it dropped back a little pullback, but I think uranium's going to do well as well, price-wise, for lots of reasons, demand being one of them. But then what you probably saw what happened in Niger in Africa, where the government of Niger was taken over in a coup, you might say. They threw out one group threw out the other group, whatever it is, but then they threw out the French, and then just a week ago they kicked out the Americans in an astonishing rebuke to the United States, when I guess the U.S. ambassador and the guy who runs AFRICOM or whatever, they went down there to talk with the Niger government, and they must have said something, because the Niger said, you insulted us, and we're not going to take that kind of crap from you. You get you and all of your stuff out of here right now. So anyhow, there's a uranium problem in the world, and that's going to support the price. So yeah, there you go. Gold, silver, copper, nickel, lithium, uranium. There you go.
Well, it's quite a list, Byron, and yeah, all of them have different interesting fundamental drivers individually that make them an interesting space. The resource space is pretty interesting right now. Just to follow up on uranium, though, it's one of the few that bucked the trend in 2023 and had a pretty positive year. In fact, when we were at the conferences in Vancouver in January, that was all the rage. What was your take on the uranium sector now that it's had a pullback of, let's say, 15 to 30% in a lot of the equities, and that the price of uranium has pulled back by about 15%. What was the vibe like at PDAC as far as the uranium sector?
Oh, I think I spoke with several of the uranium players there, and they all take it in a very sort of sanguine approach. It's kind of like, yeah, it goes up, it goes down. The rain comes, the rain goes. The clouds come, the clouds go. Uranium price goes up, goes down. But we've got a nice price. The uranium producers, the people who actually have to write checks, write paychecks and hire people and run an operation. The uranium producers are pretty confident in the future of their product. They are spending money. They are capital investing. They're CapExing, I guess, if I can make that word up. I mean, one of my faves is a company out in Utah called Energy Fuels, UUUU. It's nice, easy to remember, 4 U's. I've visited their facility out there. They're processing uranium ore from all over kind of the American Southwest. I mean, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. They process the ore at this mill, and they get uranium out of it. Obviously, there's a thorium byproduct which they handle. They're all nuclear licensed by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. They also extract vanadium, which is used as a steel alloying agent as well as a battery metal. And they just, right in the last couple of months, they have just been starting up a rare earth circuit. When I visited them last fall, they were in the middle of building it. I was there when they had poured concrete, and we watched the concrete cure for a few minutes, and it was like, yeah, okay, go with it. But they had all their machinery, all their equipment, all their everything ready to go, staged. As soon as that concrete, can take some weight. they were going to start installing things. So your energy fuels is a really nice play for, uranium, of course, vanadium, which is a beautiful metal to deal with, and rare earths, which right now rare earths are hot, certainly in the non-Chinese world. Everybody wants to, everybody who's not in China wants to develop non-Chinese rare earth deposits, and so there you go. Out in Utah, they have a processing facility for it.
So Byron, broadly, as rosy of an outlook as you have for a number of these different metals and commodities, outside of kind of the copper majors and a lot of uranium stocks, what's it going to take to get some money filtering down into the smaller cap companies, or even for precious metals, even those majors? What do you think has to happen in these markets for that money to come to the equities?
Well, I stand in awe of the rest of the market, the other, shall we say, 99% of the market, or 99.5% of the market, that it can go so high, so far, so frothy on tech and on biotech and on I mean, yes, AI is a thing. Yes, computer chips, they are a thing. Yeah, okay, I get all that, but they have gone so far and so high and so much. They are all priced for perfection, and the world is not a perfect place. And so my view of it is that, and I'll expand on this in a second, but my view of it is that some of that tech money is going to be migrating into our space, into the the mines and metal space. And the reason I say that is because some of it already is. I have personally met people who made a lot of money in Bitcoin, for example, and other cryptos. And I was at a conference, and I saw these young people talking to the resource guys, and I'm like, who are you? I mean, why are you here? You're not some old white-haired dude, with gold coins in his safe deposit box down in the basement or whatever. You don't look like that. So, oh no, well, I made a lot of money in tech. I made a lot of money in crypto, but I've got to take some of it off the table, and I'm trying to figure out what this resource sector is all about. So there is some of that money already coming in. I've spoken with companies who are getting, depositing checks written by, family offices and, well-heeled investors on mines and mineral projects. I mean, there's that happening. We have not seen, the big market move yet. I think we will, because I just don't know. I don't know how much longer the froth can stay on the beer, so to speak, of the super duper high valuations on the tech side. I think some of that money, the smartest of the smart money, is going to pull some of those dollars off the table and move them somewhere else. And it's not that hard to understand that gold, silver, copper, lead, zinc, nickel, uranium, what have you, that those kind of metals in the ground in the form of recoverable ores and recoverable end products, that those things are actually good investments, and they represent real value. This true wealth and real value, just awaiting its moment to see the daylight.
All right, Byron, we'll wrap it up here. Really just need that rotation of money, right? It's been rotating around the markets. It just needs to filter its way down into some of these commodities, equities. But hey, some have done well. The copper majors have done pretty well. Uranium stocks have done well. It's just the bigger precious metals sector that doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of traction still. But man, this gold price just keeps on moving. Byron, it's great having you on the show. Thank you very much for your time. We'll chat again next month, and we'll cover a little bit more in terms of what you're seeing for different stocks, as well as answer any questions that all of our listeners send in to us. So Byron, again, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.